Hi, it's Keith Walden, owner of Departure Lounge, and this week's Departure Lounge VIP Travel Report is going to be a bit different. There will be no tours of villas or suites. There will be no offers from our top travel providers. I want to talk to you about something that's personal to me. About a year ago, the government of Saudi Arabia decided to start really encouraging vacation travel to Saudi Arabia. High dollar marketing campaigns, some gorgeous photographs of a new resort there. Big push on our industry to send our clients to Saudi Arabia. As the gay owner of a travel agency in the United States, I cannot support that. My LGBTQ brothers and sisters in Saudi Arabia are persecuted, they are hunted down, they are put in jail, they are beheaded. Then there's the issue of how women are treated in Saudi Arabia. Women are not safe there, regardless of wealth or status. Women are raped in Saudi Arabia on a daily basis, so much so that there are no statistics because it happens so frequently. And then the men that are raping the women do not get persecuted. There are no laws against it. And actually, if you report the rape in Saudi Arabia, you can be persecuted for reporting the rape. Also, if you'd like to go to Saudi Arabia as a traveler, you have to sign a document to the U.S. government saying that you understand you will not be protected and that the United States government cannot help you when you're traveling there. So these are all good practical reasons for why I cannot support travel to Saudi Arabia. I've also made sure that the clients of Departure Lounge are not receiving marketing to travel to Saudi Arabia, and it's a sore subject because there's a lot of marketing money that's being put out there by the Saudi Arabian government. The king would like Saudi Arabia to suddenly become a glorious resort destination like other places in the Middle East and beyond, but I cannot get behind that. But I'm just a 55-year-old Texan that owns a travel agency, and what you're going to hear today is my conversation with a native of Saudi Arabia who escaped. He's the first gay out man who was given diplomatic immunity in the United States, and his life was saved in the process, even though his own family was against him. So I want you to hear my conversation with Wahid Lyon, who's my new friend, and he's going to tell you about the realities of what's happening in Saudi Arabia right now and why I cannot get behind supporting travel there. I hope you enjoy this interview. I hope it's meaningful for you. Take a listen. You've got a friend there, I see. It's good to have mine. Mine's a corgi on the floor by my feet.
Well, he asked for it. I didn't even tell him to come over. And I'm like, I'm doing an interview. I put him aside and he's like, no, I want to sit on your lap. I'm like,
You know
okay.
what? I think it's awesome. Our animal friends can be our best friends at times, so I appreciate that fully. And he looks very regal there as well, so it's a nice look.
Thank you. Thank you. How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm good. I'm good. And I'm very thankful that you're willing to talk today. I'm recording this and I'm going to put it out there for my travel industry friends and colleagues to learn about the situation. I think that there's a level of responsibility for those of us in the industry, regardless of our gender preferences or moral ground, to share the truth. And right now, there's a major marketing campaign from Saudi Tourism trying to encourage travelers to visit Saudi Arabia. And based on our knowledge of the new developments like NEOM that are underway, it's only going to increase. And so I think that travelers need to be educated on the full picture. I'm so thankful to have connected with you this week and to have heard your story. And I want to start by saying I'm so sorry that you have been challenged with the things in the life that you've had. It breaks my heart for you. I cannot imagine. I'm so thankful that you are still here on this planet and that you have found love, you found a partner, you found a voice to share with the world, and you can do a lot of good things with that. So I'm very thankful for you and for this time. I'd love for you to start off by telling your story. You are the first outwardly gay Saudi that's been given political asylum in the United States. And I'd love for people to
I'm the
understand how
first
that happened.
openly gay man from Saudi Arabia, period. And I have political asylum in the United States. I'm probably the only openly gay man from Saudi Arabia at the moment that is able to speak and speak up to the world. I'm an international human rights activist. I used to sit on the board of directors for the Kansas City Anti-Violence Project. I also sit currently on the Missourians for Alternative to the Death Penalty Board of Directors. I am appointed as a member of the Kansas City Health Commission Housing Committee as well. Worked with the ACLU and NAACP and many international organizations, including Amnesty International and Access Now for cybersecurity. Uh, my story is very complicated and long. I was under direct threat of being kidnapped by the Saudi government for being the first openly gay man from Saudi Arabia. I ended up going to a safe house for almost a year. And in that period of time, I fought really hard to stay where I'm at and get to where I'm at right now today. In that process, I did become homeless. In that process, I found a lot of difficulties, but I'm through it now, which is good. Um, Now what I'm doing is working a lot with Middle Eastern LGBT community and publishing articles in regards to the human rights violations in Saudi Arabia. I'll go into some numbers just to give you an idea of what Saudi Arabia is trying to achieve. Saudi Arabia is trying to achieve in 2030 to have 100 million visitors a year. Just to put things into perspective, France, which is the most visited country in the world, has 80 million visitors a year, and that's the most visited country in the world. Egypt, in the Arabic perspective, compared to other Arabic countries, is the most visited country in the Middle East. And the most it has had in its whole history was 20 million visitors in a year.
Right.
So that just gives you a good idea of the kind of challenge the Saudi government has to make this happen. Now, in order to make this happen, tourism for Saudi Arabia is not about making money. It's all about whitewashing its image and making all its crime look like nothing on the international stage. The best ways they could do that is by hiring PR firms, which they have done. They have hired and bought soccer teams, like they have done right recently with the Newcastle purchase in the UK, and they keep trying to promote Saudi Arabia as a friendly, safe place to visit. The interesting part about those friendly spaces to visit is most of them have been gentrified or stolen from native residents that have lived there for thousands of years. Most of the buildings they're building there or the tourism resorts that they're trying to build, they're all built on stolen land. They're all built on dead people's land.
You shared with
Abdurrahim Al
me.
Khawati,
You shared with me today
yes,
a grandfather's plea on Twitter for his entire family that was kidnapped and taken, correct? And he's trying to get the
correct.
government to release his family if they are still alive.
And my question to many people that are thinking about visiting is how comfortable do you feel going to a stolen land?
Right.
Do you think that people over there they're going to look at you in a welcoming eyes or they might go with some terrorist attacks?
No,
I think that it's not very safe,
no.
especially knowing that there are people going to go on uprising against the government in regards to those stolen land.
Well,
Some of
last
the
night I
most
read the U.S. State Department's warnings on travel to Saudi Arabia. First of all, it took me more than 30 minutes just to get through the pages and pages and pages and pages of warnings, which were startling. And I already knew a lot, but just what our State Department, and And there are countries like, we have warnings about travel to Mexico because of issues with the cartel. And we still send a lot of travelers to resort areas where we believe our clients are safe. But the difference is, in this case, it's actually the government of Saudi Arabia that are instigating these heinous crimes and killing people. It's not cartel. And so I look at Saudi Arabia as the place where the government is who you need to be scared of as one of the issues for travel and safety.
Yes, and let's not forget that Saudi Arabia is one of the most corrupt governments in the world. Um, so the question that many people ask is, am I safe going to Saudi Arabia? And the simple answer is no, because our police and security system are incompetent and they are part of the corruption. Many of the police officers are part of the process of sexually harassing, sexually assaulting, kidnapping many innocent people just because they look cute or they look pretty. And in the cultural perspective, I think there's a bigger taboo for a Saudi man sexually harassing a woman from his country compared to a Saudi man sexually harassing a foreigner. Sounds very okay to them for many reasons. In regards to the taboos of the country. Um, the reason those three gentlemen that were kidnapped was because was a child literally wrote on a wall, "We'll never leave this land," and apparently that was triggering enough for the security forces that they sent two people to kidnap him. It was a small enough time that a town that it was very easy for them to notice. So the father and the uncle got in a car, went after them. Apparently, the kidnapper's car got broken down, and the father and the uncle got there, beat the kidnappers, and got their kids and went back home. By the time they got back home, there were already police officers there to take the father, the uncle, and the child, and we have never heard from them since then. And that's only one story. Abdurrahim al Hawati from the same land was on top of his building when he said refused to evacuate, where they killed him by gunfire in order to tear down his building to build those amusement parks that they're claiming.
Well, and then this
Um,
first one where the three family members were taken, that's part of the NEOM development. That's correct,
yes,
which is
there's
being
also
positioned as
the
the new city to compete with Dubai and other destinations like Dubai.
there is also they're stealing land from across the Red Sea, and they're also stealing land from the Amala region. Um, what are there to see in Saudi Arabia? I think is one of many questions our people are asking for, and there are only few things to see. There is the mountain of ancient writings, which are mountain just full of ancient writings, and there is the castle that was created by the Najd region. Saudi Arabia's way of advertising its tourism to the West is by bringing Westernism and Western musicians and Western art to Saudi Arabia, not showing Saudi culture and Saudi art to Westerners. So I think for many Westerners, to begin with, it's going to be a very disappointing visit, especially that you're not going to be visiting to be exposed to culture. You're going to be visiting just to see your own culture in a different place.
Well, the current
Um,
push for tourism is really focused on the Alula destination, and they're really they are showcasing heritage as part of that and history. And it's a Instagram worthy campaign with gorgeous photography. It's very enticing. And I think if you just focused on that, any traveler with wanderlust and wanting to see things they haven't seen before would be very intrigued to go and see. And my purpose is to shed a broader light. Your purpose is to shed a broader light on there's more to this than just what's being dangled out here to inspire travel, especially in light of the numbers that you have shared and the billions of dollars being developed for this city and development, NEOM and others, with what Saudi wants to achieve. Talk to me about, let's focus now on morality and how LGBTQ people are treated in Saudi Arabia.
Right before I go to morality, there was one important fact that many Westerners didn't know. It's actually illegal for you to film anyone sexually harassing someone else in Saudi Arabia. And you will get personally in trouble if someone is sexually harassing you and you videotape them. So technically, the Saudi government is encouraging people to get sexually harassed. Also, if you're going to Saudi Arabia, you're essentially promoting the fact that you're getting differential treatment than the local people that are living there. You're essentially approving of the fact that people can be enslaved as maids. And I've showed you a video last
Yeah.
night of how people enslaved their maids in Saudi Arabia and sexually harassed them and enslaved them. This is a constant thing that has happened in Saudi Arabia for hundreds of years. In fact, the last human slavery market in the Arabian Peninsula ended in 1940 in 1974. So not too far ago. And what you're going to is going to a place where they're jailing feminists like Lujain al-Hatlul that advocate for women's right to drive. And when they allowed women to drive, they jailed her and gave the ability to women to drive. And she wasn't freed until Biden himself asked for her release when he became president. Until now, she's not allowed to leave the country. Walid al Fatahi, a US citizen and a doctor who has been in jail and imprisoned in Saudi Arabia just for being a doctor. And he's still not allowed to leave the country. And he's a US citizen.
Well, I
And
read
he's a
last
family
night that
friend. And I know him.
this year in
I've met him personally.
2021, there have been
Yes, go ahead.
89. In 2021, there have been 89 Americans that have not been allowed to leave the country of Saudi Arabia once they were inside. So
Yes.
that's concerning enough for me in this current year that there's 89 Americans, for whatever reason of the kingdom, they were not allowed to leave Saudi Arabia and come back to the United States. So as the owner of a travel agency, I have to look at this in multiple ways. The morality is what got my attention. The safety for my clients, regardless of their beliefs or morality, is also a high concern. We cannot advise our clients to travel places where we believe they are not safe. Let's talk about the safety of women in Saudi Arabia, both the residents and the visitors.
Ladies are still considered properties in Saudi Arabia. They were only recently giving the permission to leave the country without their guardians, just recently. Um, the police are part of the sexual harassment process. So many times they're covering for criminals and they're covering for family members that are taken process of that sexual harassment. They throw all the blame on the victims for allowing it to happen and putting no responsibility on the attackers. The Saudi government has no process of jailing them or arresting them or putting them at a limit. The religious police, when they used to be around, they also were part of the sexual harassment process. You have to understand, if you go to Saudi Arabia, you're going to a toxic masculine place that enforces pure masculinity and hates anything about sharing freedom between men and women. Till now, I think they have many segregated places between men and women. Till now, ladies have been raped by their family members, raped by their co-workers, and more, and they could do nothing about it. If that is happening for our current people living in Saudi Arabia, imagine what could happen to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's my nightmare would be, we encourage travelers to go over and our clients unknowingly think they're in a safe place. And in fact, they're at risk, particularly for women. And, everything that you've enlightened me with this week shows the probabilities of attacks on women, regardless of their stature or their wealth, are really high.
And will you get a differentiated treatment? Will you be very privileged going to Saudi Arabia? Absolutely. As a white man or a white person that has a US citizenship or a European citizenship, you're most likely going to have differential better treatment. But it's not to say that you're not going to be safe. And let's not forget, you going there with the differential treatment is you saying it's okay for me to be better than someone else.
Right. Well, and we have other destinations in the world where we send in wealthy travelers and they are, in a destination that may be physically beautiful, but has high levels of poverty. And we see crime happen in those destinations because the local residents have nothing and we are sending clients in that have everything. And then that's oftentimes asking for trouble, and trouble happens. And so, we have to be careful with those. And this just seems like there's so many layers of potential problems, for a
We
country that
don't
didn't
even have
allow.
statistics. We don't have accurate statistics on rape. We don't have accurate statistics on theft. We don't have accurate statistics on sexual assault. We don't have accurate statistics about any of these things because it's Saudi Arabia. How are you going to know you're safe or not?
Right.
You're literally
Yeah.
taking a gamble with your life.
Right.
And
But what
if
we,
you are a devout Christian or a devout Jew and you shared any of your ideas, you better know that you might go to jail, very likely.
right. Well, today I saw in the news that a UK resident that was in Dubai was sentenced to 25 years for being caught with CBD while in Dubai. And that's a much different situation, but it's just an example of how you have to be extremely mindful and careful wherever you're traveling in this world. I just want my clients, my colleagues to fully understand. What I can't do as a gay man is endorse travel to a place where I am not safe to go myself because I'm a gay man, much less my religious beliefs. But when I have learned through the years about how LGBTQ people are treated in Saudi Arabia, that they are sought after, they are hunted, they are jailed, they are raped, and they are beheaded. And that's not from long ago. I mean, we have some photographic evidence of this happening just in 2019, 2 years ago. I'm sure it's happened since then. Just I don't know if there's photography that shows our film that has showed that, but we
They
verified
have
that
they recently have gone underground after media have gone up. With media attention going up in Saudi Arabia, in the last few years, the Saudi government has been dialing back its executions in public,
in
not in
public.
private, in public.
Right, right. Yeah, but
That's it. I
most
witnessed
likely
my first
people are still
beheading when I was 10
disappearing.
years old.
People are still disappearing, like that family that stood in the way of the development of Neom that's now missing, and you haven't heard from them since the day they were taken away. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So you lived in Saudi Arabia until the age of 12, and then you came to the United States, and then you
Yes,
started
and
to
I was
understand
visiting family.
yourself. You started to understand yourself as a developing teen that you were a gay man, a young gay man, and you had to fight with this and come to a decision with your own family. Before you left Saudi Arabia, you saw some of these atrocities yourself. You told me that at the age of 10, you saw your first beheading yourself. So I cannot
Yep.
imagine the bravery that you've had to have with your own family and being in a foreign land, the United States, and being brave enough to stand up and to reach out. And like you said, just put everything on the line. So what, if you are talking to potential travelers from a moral standpoint, what would you share with them about the potential of supporting Saudi Arabia with their desire of having travelers come there?
You would be helping in whitewashing the criminal acts that the Saudi government has been abusing um, against its own citizens and U.S. citizens combined. Um, you would be helping in advertising that Saudi Arabia is a safe place when in fact it is absolutely not a safe place. You would be helping in the fact that um, making publicity for people that are literally trying to undermine LGBT and feminist rights at every corner and try to advertise the exact opposite as we speak. Saudi Arabia has jailed many feminists, many LGBTQ members, and many Americans just for what they think and what they do. So you going there is a sign of you approving of the Wahhabist ideology of enslaving many people and jailing free thinkers and the killing of Jamal Khashoggi. Let's not forget Jamal Khashoggi, a journalist, a free thinker that was supportive of the Saudi government and still got cut to pieces and melted in the Saudi embassy in Turkey. So that is what you're going to be supporting. Imagine like if you're going to North Korea, very similar.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
And for
so
religious purposes, even for religious purposes, many Muslims go to Hajj and Mecca, and that is considered religious tourism. But even there, during Hajj, people have been complaining, and you can find articles, CNN and the Wall Street Journal, I think, or Washington Post, about how women and men are complaining about sexual harassment and assaults during pilgrimage.
yeah, yeah. So this is a difficult subject, as are many that we face in life. And I have friends that I really respect and love that say, it's always better to let travel and connection make improvement. My stance is I'm not going to recommend travelers go to Saudi Arabia. I have colleagues that think that by allowing Americans to go into the country, that positive change will happen. And maybe both sides have degrees of being correct. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that train of thought.
I think going to a stolen land is not going to benefit the people that have been stolen. You are perpetuating people to hate American tourists and American ideology as you find this a way to entertain yourself while many people are hungry and starving and being killed in Saudi Arabia as we speak. So I think that it is absolutely not going to help in modernizing Saudi Arabia. What you will be connecting with is with the elite of the country to begin with. So you're not going to be connecting with the general public, which is all being stepped on. You are going to find and talk to the richest of the rich, the wealthiest of the wealthy, and they're going to hide everything that you don't want to see from your faces. So, is it truly a visit to the kingdom, meeting true people? Absolutely not. Would it be safe for you? No. Is it going to help people in Saudi Arabia? Absolutely not. It's going to only make them look good in front of their criminal record.
So right now, in the past 3 weeks or so, and in the weeks ahead, Saudi tourism is paying for a lot of travel advisors, travel agency owners from around the world, particularly in America, to come and visit. And they're being shown some of Saudi Arabia, which I'm assuming is very carefully orchestrated. And their job is to come back and to promote and share. And I'd love to hear your
You
thoughts on that.
notice all of these travelers have a person that's always with them, just like North Korea, making sure that they don't see the wrong places, they don't take the wrong turns, they don't talk to the wrong people, to make sure that they show the right exact image they want to show from Saudi Arabia.
Right. Yeah.
So if you notice, all that is not even being done correctly. They don't give you a visa and let you to free roam the country as you wish.
Yeah. No,
Try to
and
do that, see what happens.
that's not unique to Saudi Arabia. Those of us that have been in the industry for a long time, we know that we are oftentimes brought into a destination and only shown the sparkling and new and what they want us to see. And our job is to look beyond that and try to come up with a balanced story, kind of similar to how a journalist works, but in our case, it's as a travel advisor. And there's a lot on the line for that because our integrity is involved and how we report things truthfully. And usually we have, supplier brothers and sisters on the ground in a destination that we trust to give us the truth of day in and day out what's going on. But in this particular destination, we don't. And so I'm so thankful to have someone like you who has lived there up until the age of 12, still is in contact with people there every day. I salute you for, taking a stand and getting your voice out there. And if there's anything that this Texan can do for you moving forward, you let me know. Hopefully, maybe helping plan your honeymoon when you get married. I'm happy you found a partner.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, but I really do appreciate it, and I will certainly be in touch with you. Waji, thank you for your
And
time.
if anyone has any question, if any of your clients want to still speak to someone, if any of your friends have any questions, I am more than happy not to only answer them, I'm happy to connect them with people that are on the ground and affected by these issues. I'm willing to connect you also with journalists that have covered these issues, if you're like. Anyone that needs help understanding what's going on in the Middle East, that is exactly what I do. I have a degree in economics and political science. I specialize in Middle Eastern conflict. So that's literally all I do. I know how to do. So if there's any way I can help anyone, please let me know.
Thank you so much. I think you're going to have plenty of people take you up on that. So I appreciate it. We will be in touch soon. Take care.
Take care as
Bye-bye.
well. Thank you. Bye bye.